Tala Moana Nemi gang, welcome back to my updated GALV Shards Tactician duo companion build, and I've made quite a few upgrades since my last video. Now if you're new to the channel, let me just briefly explain how this build works. So we are running Tactician, classic GALV Shards and Shock Burst round, however with the customizable option of running two different companions through the trusted kingship node from the skill tree. Being able to run two different companions means we're able to heavily customize our build to cater for whatever needs we want for every single scenario in this game. Do you want more damage? You can run companions with both extra physical damage aura or double haste aura. Do you want your companions to deal more damage? Well, you can run double companions with Conjurer's Lightning Storms for massive clear. Do you want more defensive utility from your companions? You can run invulnerability aura, you can run a healing aura as well. So that's where the biggest strength of this build lies, the ability to customize your companion based on the situation. But not just that, we also invest heavily into the companions by picking up most of the companion presence nodes on the tree, picking up the trusted kingship node that lets us run two companions, also giving our companions a little bit more defense, as well as picking up the Ascendancy node from the Tactician that lets our companions deal a bit more damage based off of the weapon's damage. So our companions are just not for utility. We want them to stay alive as much as possible. We want them to deal as high amount of damage as possible, as well as giving us really good buffs in the same situation. So unlike minions that can do all the work for you, companions don't work the same way. You have to fight alongside your companion, stay within the presence of your companion so you can get the buffs provided by these companions. Think of it like partly shared damage. You don't rely solely on the companions to do damage, but you deal more damage if you stay within the presence of the companions. It's a very comfy build that has a very good balance between offense and defense. You can choose to invest heavily in either options, of course through the mods on your companions. Not just that, Tactician is one of the best ascendancies when it comes to utility, such as being able to cut our spirit costs in half, as well as being able to pin every enemy on the map, not allowing them to attack you, thereby giving us even more survivability options outside of our own defense and the defensive options you can get from our companions as well. One of the best ascendancies when it comes to overall survivability. Right, so let's break down the build, starting off with the skill gems first. And for clear, we are using GALV Shards, obviously one of the best skills in the game, just for clear, free, feels good on the crossbow. For our first support gem, we are using mobility. It feels really good to be able to move while using this skill. I feel you move way slower without this support gem, so I feel as though it's a must use on the galvanic shards, at least for me. I also have nimble reload for faster reload speed. If you invest in reload on the passive skill tree, you don't really have to run nimble reload, but I just like being able to fire continuously with the skill, and so I've opted to go for nimble reload as well. We have martial tempo for increased attack speed. This one is a must use as well on the GALV Shards, increases DPS and just makes it attack faster, which is just way better. And lastly, I'm running Gumbo Shot, which is preferential. This one gives Galvanic Shards a chance to chain an additional time, fork or pierce. People love running fork or pierce on their Galvanic Shards, but for me, I think having a chance to do all three is a way better option. We are running Shock Burst rounds. This is what we use for our uniques, and our bosses consumes shock to deal a lot more damage, so we always need to apply shock on the enemy before popping our Shock Burst rounds, and I'll get into that later. So for our support gems, we are running Lightning Penetration, penetrates 30% of lightning resistance, always a good support gem. We are running Lightning Infusion as well, 25% more extra lightning damage, always nice. We have Heft, 30% more physical damage. Of course, Shock Burst rounds consumes physical damage, so it converts physical damage to lightning damage, so Heft is a good support gem. And lastly, we have Elemental Focus that lets us deal 25% more elemental damage. Okay, let's now talk about the companions. Now keep in mind, I will make a companions section where I talk more about the companions, so make sure you check it out. Very, very important. So the companions I'm running currently are mostly for clear and a bit of utility. So I have a boa here that always shocks, has magma barrier for defense, and leaves shocked ground as well, which is very, very nice. Like this, I got hella lucky with these mods, bro. Always shocks and shocked ground. Sheesh, hella lucky. So I'm first running lightning exposure. Since he shocks, he always applies lightning exposure. Of course, this penetrates 20% of lightning resistance, which is amazing. I'm also running loyalty, so my boy here takes 10% of damage for me, right? So 10% of damage taken from your minion before you. This combines perfectly with the Stakonja's head helmet piece that absorbs 15% of damage taken to minions or companions before you, so a total of 25. I'll talk more about this in the gear section. So amazing, amazing support gem. This makes me just a bit more tanky. I'm also running enormity, which is a sick support gem for companions. This gives your companions 20% increased size, increased damage, and increased life as well. This costs 15 spirit, but of course, since we're tacticians, that's cut in half. So yeah, tactician, again, utility, massive W, like makes my pig here, my Pumbaa, my boy, look hella big with the support gem. And lastly, on my boy, we have last gasp. This makes my boy fight for 4 more seconds after he dies, making the revive cooldown even shorter, which is another massive W for keeping our minions alive. My second minion is a quadrilla, so this dude can break armor, he can poison, he heals, and he also summons lightning storms, which is good for clear. Probably the best skill for offense on companions is the lightning storm, like for sure. I'll talk more about this in the companion section. So for my support gems, I have life thief for life leech, because my boy needs to stay alive. He's naked, he has no magma barrier like my boy Pumbaa. We have elemental army for 30% more elemental resistances. Again, he's naked, he needs more survivability. I'm also running feeding frenzy, where he deals 30% more damage but takes 30% more damage as well, so it's neither here nor there. And lastly is minion mastery for +1 to level of all minion skills. So my dude here, I think is level 17, goes to level 18 because of this particular support gem. And then we have Herald of Thunder, which of course is a must run for a lot of martial weapon lightning builds. This just helps massively with clears, drops down a thunderbolt whenever you shock an enemy. So we have long shot support gem, it deals more damage against enemies that are far from you. So this is perfect for Herald of Thunder because it does have quite some range and it drops those thunderbolts. We are also running primal armament for 35% more weapon elemental damage. Elemental damage, always good. We have innervate that gives us a lightning damage buff for 5 seconds after killing a shocked enemy, so we have to always proc shock with our galvanic shards as well. It's good at shocking, but we get shock from the passive skill tree. I'll talk about that later. And lastly, we are running deadly herald. So Herald skills deal 30% more damage. This costs 20 spirit, but of course as a tactician that only costs 10 for us. That utility node when the passive tree come in clutch again. For our second persistent spirit buff, we are running Wind Dancer. We are an armor stroke evasion rating build, more so armor, but we still need as much evasion rating as possible, so we take that Wind Dancer buff. We are running blind support gem to blind enemies when we get hit. We have clarity for more mana regen, precision for more accuracy rating, and we have upwheeling that lets our companions deal 30 more damage when we are not at full mana. So all these 3 support gems cost spirit, and again as a tactician our spirit gems cost half their original cost, so massive utility on the tactician. It's a very strong node. Emergency reload is another spirit buff we are running, so this gives us 26% more damage whenever we do a quick reload. It also instantly reloads our crossbow, so free damage but has a long ass cooldown, like 40 seconds. Like 40 seconds is insane. So this is your opener whenever you're facing a unique enemy or a boss. Start off the fight by popping emergency reload first and then going in. So we are running premeditation, so 15% increased damage. So this is 26 plus 15, that's 41 more damage whenever we pop our emergency reload. Ingenuity, of course, to reduce the longer's cooldown. And finally, persistence, to just let the buff last a bit longer. I also run the Ripwire Ballista just for a bit more control because it pins enemies very easily. We build pin like quickly enough, but this is just another bonus. So I also use it for Font of Rage because our companions can benefit from this as well. So you might throw down the Ripwire Ballista and not fight near it, but if your companions are ahead of you, they can benefit from the buff either way. And if you're running Conjure's Lightning Storms, one of your companions, that lets it deal hella more damage. So Font of Rage is very strong, and that's why I use Ripwire Ballista a lot. Ancestral Agency for increased totem placement, so just placing it faster. Lastly, I use Splinter, so breaks 15% more armor based on the physical damage dealt. Now, of course, one of my companions can break armor as well, so depending on which build I'm running in terms of the mods I have on my companion, I usually switch this out for like Font of Mana or Font of Life, right? So it's very utility based, like I said at the beginning of the video. Amazing, underrated gem, by the way, the Ripwire Ballista. And lastly, for another persistent buff, I'm running the War Banner, very underrated skill in my opinion, just for a massive damage and accuracy rating buff. Running Magnified Effect for more AoE or more presence size, I guess. And we are also running Refraction, another support gem that costs spirit, that makes our armor apply to elemental damage as well, whilst this banner is active. Now this one is very preferential. You can instead run a support gem called Trinity. Trinity is way better. Like if you want damage, just go for Trinity. But the only problem is Trinity is expensive. It costs 100 spirit. So in our case as a tactician, this costs 50 spirit. This will mean sacrificing a lot of your support gems that cost spirit to make Trinity work, and that's the one thing I'm not very comfortable of, because there are a lot of very strong support gems that cost spirit. So like Refraction itself, Clarity, Precision, Deadly Herald, these are very strong support gems, right? So if I wanna go for Trinity, that's what, maybe if I wanna go for like a boss and I'm struggling with damage, that's when I run Trinity. But War Banner does get the job done, especially if you invest a bit in it, because you won't always have it up, because you have to build this Valor thing by killing enemies, are not always available with bosses. In a boss fight, you pop it maybe like twice maximum, or once if you're unlucky. So overall Trinity is better, but like I'm going with the War Banner. Okay, so let's talk about the Ascendancy nodes and then get into the passive skill tree nodes as well. So let's start off with a solid plan. So Herald skills have 50% reduced reservation, so every cost of the skills of the spirit gems are cut in half. This is especially important for companion builds. Now this does not work on companions. The companions prices are set in terms of spirit costs. The only way to reduce reservation for companions is by getting the nodes on the tree, which I'll get into later. But this just makes it so we can run so many different spirit buffs. Speaking about all these spirit buffs, right? Enormity, Upwheeling, Deadly Herald, Clarity, Precision, Refraction, it's all possible because of this node. So again, utility based, Tactician is the best Ascendancy when it comes to that. The second node I grabbed is the Watch How I Do It node. So allies in your presence gain 25% of your weapon's total damage. Now this one is not worth it for making companions hit harder. I learned the hard way, but it's good if you're running double Lightning Storm on your companions. So I think this increases that damage as well, not just the companion itself, but the mods on the companion as well. Now I might be wrong, but I think my Lightning Storms hit harder when I pick up this node. It's something I have to test, but it's been working out so far. Now you don't have to get this node if you're not running Conjure's Lightning Storms. It's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it. You're better off picking up the node that pins enemies and then get the other node that makes it so that pinned enemies cannot perform actions. So I only got the first two nodes, and the pinning is as effective. Like, it's still doing work even without getting the full node, right? Like the node that lets the enemies not perform any actions. Like, just pinning the enemies on its own is like well enough. And guys, if you want survivability, this is the node for Tactician. The pinning node is freaking broken. Think of it like the pre-nerf freeze, and it's very easy to build up pin. I think it's easier to build up pin than it is to build up freeze. You don't even have to invest in easier to pin nodes on the tree or any buffs, right? You pin enemies very easily, so this is a must pick. If you're not trying out companion stuff like me, go for the full 4 nodes on the pinning nodes. Very busted. For my last node, I'm using the node that gives you 100% of your armor as stun threshold and 100% of your evasion rating as extra armor threshold. So it just makes it very difficult to get stunned, and as well as very difficult to inflict ailments on us, especially if you have a very high armor and evasion rating. So this is my skill tree, but again, I advise you to go for the full pinning node if you're not running double lightning storms on your companions. Okay, so now onto our actual passive skill tree, and obviously trusted kingship is what you want to run for the end game. This gives us the ability to run 2 different companions with half of our defense total, which is a pretty sweet buff. However, at the cost of 30% of our global defenses, which is not good. However, it's good late game because you can get some really good armor pieces, high armor rolls, so this is no issue. You want to grab all the companion nodes that are right next to the kingship node. So stuff like inspiring ally makes it so that every damage increase you get on your companion also applies to you. So if you have like 30% increased damage on a support gem socketed in your companion, that also applies to you as well. I don't think this shows in the DPS tooltip though, which is sad, but you can feel it. You get damage increase if you increase damage on your companion. So a very strong node. That same little tree on the companions also makes it so that when you heal, it will also apply to your companion. The same section also has reduced companion reservation, which is again is a massive take. So mostly with this build on the tree, you want to prioritize all the companion nodes. So you can look at some of them here whilst I talk about a few of them. So most of them have increased damage whilst in the presence of your companion. You want to grab all of those. So again, the idea of the build is you working hand in hand with the companion. You do a lot of damage whilst in the presence of your companion, so you want to grab all of those. There's the nodes that give your companions elemental resistances. They increase the presence of your companion. They also make companions revive faster. You want to grab all of those nodes. There's some nodes here that increase attack speed. You want to invest in attack speed as well, increased skill speed, because galvanic shards doesn't really feel all that good when starting out, but when you invest in attack speed and skill speed, it improves like vastly, right? Heavily. You want to grab the lightning damage nodes. Of course, GALV shards being elemental damage, you grab the lightning damage nodes. Lightning damage is lucky, so it's a very huge hit. Penetrates lightning resistance, massive nodes. The nodes that make it so that you're able to shock enemies. Of course, you have to shock to proc Herald of Thunder, so increased shock chance, you want to grab that. I just deactivated it briefly because I was trying something different, but you want to get the node that gives you improved shock chance. Invest in reload speed as well, some nodes that give you increased reload speed. And that's basically it, honestly. Most of the nodes on the passive tree for the tactician or for the mercenary are usually the same. Like crossbow does not have a lot of build diversity, honestly. Only if you're doing grenades, right? There are a few grenade nodes you have to grab, but overall for most of the crossbow builds, the route is usually the same. But what makes this one different is the companion node. So like just grab all the companion nodes. I'm showing you guys here. Of course, I'll put the build on Mobalytics. I'm working on it right now, so just stay tuned for that. But to grab all the companion nodes, then you're good to go for this build. Onto stats and gear. So I only have about 1.5k health, which isn't good. You need about 3k minimum. I don't have energy shield. Of course, we are an armor and ER build. We don't really need energy shield. I mean, you do, it's the best defensive mechanic, but like you don't have access to energy shield nodes from the, mercenary side of the tree, so it's very difficult to optimize energy shield on the mercenary and on the warrior as well. So for that, we're going for armor. I have decent mana. You don't need all that much mana on crossbows unless you have like super high level skill gems, so we're good on mana. We have good spirit, allowing us to run all those spirit support gems, so massive W. You want as much spirit as possible. I have 85% armor, so 60 base, and remember Stakonja's head gives us 15% hits taken from companions, as well as a support gem that gives us 10% hits taken from the companions. So that's 25 total. 25 plus 60 is 85% armor. I know armor is bad, but like, it's all we got, boys. It's all we got. I only have 40% evasion rating, probably about 45% with the Wind Dancer support gem. People more so tend to go for evasion rating more than they do for armor when it comes to the Tactician. It's also good to go for acrobatics on the skill tree, which makes you evade all hits but reduces your evasion rating by 75%, so you can invest more so in evasion rating and be able to tank even slams. That's very, very strong. But like for me, I decided to go armor, so I'm testing it out. There's a node on the tree that lets you convert all of evasion rating to armor. I want to try that. I'm not sure how good it is, but we'll see. I'll update you guys. And remember, Trusted Kingship also cuts our global defenses by 30%, so we have way more armor and evasion rating, but because of Trusted Kingship, that kind of reduces our overall defenses. Now, if you don't want to run Trusted Kingship, you can run the Yidrill's vest that lets you run 2 different companions. It's a body armor, unique. However, it does not come with a downside of 30% reduced defenses. However, Trusted Kingship makes our companions a bit more tanky. It gives our companions half of every defense we have. So half of our armor, half of our ES, half of our ER. So that's why I prefer Trusted Kingship to the Yidrill's body armor unique. But the body armor is good for early game, that's why it's so cheap. But overall for end game, you want to go for Trusted Kingship as the better option. My resistances are all capped except my chaos at 70 and my code at 73, but honestly it's not too bad. I haven't had any other problems. I have good dex, I have good strength as well, and you don't really need intelligence as mercenaries unless for specific skills. Onto our gear, starting off with our crossbow. I'm still using the same crossbow I used in the last video. This cost me 20 exalted at the time before the update, so I got pretty lucky considering the stats. I'm in +4 level of all skill gems and the high physical damage as well. It was pretty good, not gonna lie. Maybe it might be a bit more expensive right now. Only thing missing is attack speed, but again, as a companion build, you can get attack speed from haste aura from our companions, and you can get a shitload of attack speed, broken run like double haste aura, and it's insane. The only problem is it just deletes your mana. So if you can find a way to invest in mana, you can run double haste aura. It's so freaking strong. I've used it against the boss and I just deleted that boss. Like, bro, you shoot so fast, it's insane. So yeah, pretty good crossbow. Of course I can upgrade this. And remember, if you want to run a double lightning storm on your companions, you want as high of damage as possible on your weapon because of the node that gives your companions 25% increased damage from your total weapon's damage. So you want a juiced up weapon. So if you have some exalts to spare, drop a divine maybe, get that juiced up weapon first, then run double companions with Conjurer's lightning storms. Onto my gloves, and my gloves are okay, nothing too crazy. Got a double razor. The 21 dex was very important for upgrading my companions. Decent armor and not that great of physical damage. I don't actually remember how much these cost, but like I could upgrade my gloves. But right now I think they're doing the work, especially when it comes to the resistances. I got a really good ring with some really good lightning and physical damage, some rarity as well, which is pretty nice, intelligence for just more additional support gems, and double res, very low fire resistance, but the overall stats on this ring are pretty good. I think it was about 40 exalts if I'm not mistaken, so a pretty good ring. For my helmet, again, we're running Stakonja's head. This is very cheap. I think you get it at 1 exalted because no one is running double companion, bro. Like no one. So it's very, very cheap. Gives us some really good evasion rating when we are on low life, so more defense, but most importantly again is a reduced physical damage. So 15% taken from our companions, you combine this with loyalty, support gem, and you have 25% total, right? So this adds on to our armor like I said earlier and gives us 85 total from 60, so pretty good defensively, but it's not a must run. You can run a better helm with more evasion rating and more armor, but for me, I kind of like it. It's working out so far, so I'ma keep it. Now for my body armor, I found a really good body armor with triple razors, very high spiritual, and some really good armor as well, about 1200 slapped into sockets, 50% increased armor, brought me to 1700, and with the allocation, my anointing on my amulet, I got Ancient Ages. So this one increases my armor by 60% of my body armor, right? So this went from 1700 to about 2500 total armor. Like, bro, I was so tempted. I had to try it. I know armor is bad, but like, I haven't been having any issues so far. I feel so tanky, and combined with the other utilities as well, from the companion, from the ascendancy node with the pinning thing, I just feel pretty invincible, to be honest with you. But I also have Morio Invictus as my backup armor piece. This one is more of a customizable armor piece. You can customize it depending on which stats you want. So this one for me has a very good balance between evasion rating and armor. I can easily switch it out, but for now I'm trying to focus more so on this one, more so go into armor and just see how far I can go. And so far so good, bro. No issues in terms of being tanky. I have a pretty good breach ring, which isn't even max quality. It's like 0 quality, but like, dude, this ring was so good and it was so cheap. I think it was like 30 exalted. Like, this was a steal. Very, very good breach ring. My belt it's okay, but ideally you want a belt with 3 charm slots, so I have to upgrade my belt. And my boots are also, they're alright, they're good. So this has helped me max out my chaos res. I know 75 is the goal, but like 70 is good enough. There really isn't all that much chaos stuff in the game anyway. So these are my gear pieces. This is my build. Total cost, I would say, is somewhere between 170 exalted orbs, maybe. I'm estimating that correctly. I did get lucky and got 2 divine orb drops, bro, like back to back, off the ground and in a ritual in the same map, and this was before the update buff. So I got lucky and got some pretty good upgrades, if I do say so myself. And for this section, I want to talk more about the companions. So as you can see, I have my own little Pokédex of companions. This is the most annoying part about this build. You have to spend time farming for the right mods of the companions. You have to go Pokemon hunting, and if the RNG gods are not in your favor, you are gonna have a shitty ass time, like trying to find the perfect companion. I'm looking for something with invulnerability aura, leaves trail of lightning, and always shocked. Like, that's perfect for me. But like, dude, if you don't have RNG, it's wild. And the other problem is lack of beasts in the game right now. The really good beasts, in my opinion, are the Quadrilla, the Boa, and the Scorpion from the Trial of Chaos. These 3 are pretty good, but the Gorilla is very difficult to farm in the Trial of Chaos. Again, it's just based on RNG. So now you want to prioritize 4 companions, 4, right? 2 for mapping and 2 for bossing. So what I advise is invest in 4 companions you'd have for bossing and for mapping. However, you can find some you can use both for mapping and both for bossing. So what I advise is stuff like Trail of Lightning for clear and Conjures Lightning Storms. You just want damage for clear, and that's it. You don't need the heals, because again, we are tacticians, we have the pinning node, so we have as much defense as possible. You just want your companions to hit as hard as possible. Now I only have 1 Conjures Lightning Storms beast as of now. I'm still looking for a Boa that has lightning storms, so when that's done, like, I'm good, bruh. So lightning, Trail of Lightning, and lightning storms. Then as for bossing, you want either double haste aura, which I have already, or double extra physical damage aura. So combine that with damage always shocks for both of them, because sometimes one of your companions will die and you don't want to be left with the companions that cannot shock the boss. So you want to have both with damage always shocks and both either extra physical damage or haste aura. So extra physical damage aura or haste aura, then that's it. If you spend time farming too many companions, it's a heavy investment. You don't have as much currency right now to invest so much in different companions, right? You need gem cutters, because gem cutters, improving quality on your minions, on your companions, reduces the reservation of that particular minion. So you don't want to spend all that currency on minions you actually won't even be using. So you have to be very, very careful and very particular on which companions you want to invest for your build. So again, invest in 4. 2 for mapping and 2 for bossing, because it will cost, what are they called? The currency you use to apply sockets to your gems. Jeweler's orbs, yes. So even jeweler's orbs are very expensive right now. Perfect jeweler's orbs. I haven't even gotten my perfect yet. I'm still greater jeweler's orbs. And as you can see, I've only spent my greater jeweler's orbs on 2 companions as of now. I haven't spent on the bossing companions just yet. So it takes a lot of farming. It takes a bit investment. But trust me, once you get those companions, you are set. It's a very, very comfy build. Okay, so that's basically the build in general, but before I close out the video, there are a few things left I want to cover. So mostly let's talk about the build strengths and weaknesses. Biggest weaknesses is ground effects. Ground effects, damage over time, corrupted blood or chaos bushed on the ground is horrible for this build. So for that, I don't advise farming bosses with a lot of AoE on the ground, so like ritual audience with the king. Now I have beaten the audience with the king, but like this was a horrible fight. I died quite a few times and I had to switch to invulnerability aura just to beat him, bro. Like the ground effects are just too much for the companions to handle. They'll just keep dying and dying and dying and you lose your buff. So I don't advise farming audience of the king. There are other end game mechanics you can farm like expedition and breach. Build does that perfectly. Even Arbiter of Ash is pretty good. Strengths, of course, is customization. So before I go to strengths, even again farming, I spoke about farming. The RNG on farming is not good. You're looking for specific mods, it will take you quite a long time. It's taken me like 2 hours just to get like really good mods. Like for example, I have a quadrilla that always shocks and has haste aura. Took me about 2 hours 45 minutes of farming just to get that mod. So that's gonna take a bunch of your time farming for these particular mods. When it comes to strengths, again, biggest is customization options. You can pick out mods you want for what particular situation you want. You want to poison enemies, you want to break enemies, you want to freeze enemies, and I want to do something with freeze as well, with the fragmentation rounds that break some frozen enemies, so my companions can freeze and then I can break them with the fragmentation rounds. Or something I want to try. So you can do so much in terms of customization with this build. Of course, your companions are mid shields as well. They can take off aggro from you, and it's a very, very comfy build with the fact that you can just pin enemies for your companions to attack as well. Like, it's just comfortable, bro, especially when you get those pinning nodes. You just feel indestructible. That's what makes the build really, really strong. And lastly, just a disclaimer, guys, Path of Exile 2 is not my main game, as you can see from my channel, but I really want it to be. I'm very, very addicted to this game. Like, I love this game, like I really do. That's why I'm trying to dive into some content creation. So I'm not really like grinding until like end game, right? Like difficulty 4 of these bosses. Like, I'm not really planning to go all that far. As you can see from my profile picture, I love the druid. So the druid is a class I am planning on doing like max endgame grind. But as of right now, I have other stuff to grind. I still have to grind Monster Hunter Worlds. I need to get to endgame. I'm making content for that as well. So with that said, I won't really get this build all that far. Maybe I will if I have time. But for now, I've faced difficulty 1 of every boss with this build and I've beaten everything, right? Audience with the king, freaking Simulacrum. I've beaten Simulacrum. I've beaten Zest, T1, Ritual. I think I've mentioned Ritual already. Expedition boss as well. So I've done all the end game nodes, all the end game mods. Arbiter of Ash, Tier 1 difficulty, all the Copper Citadels, German Ra, Giono. I've done everything. So the build is capable of clearing all the content in the game, because the more we level up, the more better gear we get. I'm not the biggest math guy. If you want numbers, again, I'm not that type of person. I'm kind of learning the game. I'm new to Path of Exile 2. I can say I played PoE 1 until Act 3, but PoE 2 is something I'm just getting into, so I don't have the knowledge of everything, but I'm learning as I go. I mean, I'm tier 16 maps and I'm beating endgame content, like, you know, what else do I have to do to prove myself, right? So just a disclaimer, guys, I'm not the biggest PoE 2 nerd for anyone that's like super sweaty, so some things might be off. Maybe I made a mistake on some stuff. I'll be happy if you'd correct me in the comment section below. So anyway, guys, thank you so much if you watched the entire thing. I appreciate. I'm so passionate about this game, and that's why I'm making content. If you're new, please do consider subscribing, and as usual, don't forget to like that button, boys. Thank you so much and take care. GG.